Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're tuned in first time, welcome. This is CBTV, and today we are talking about apartments. And we're apartment hunting specifically in Austin because that's where I live and that's where I apartment hunted. So let's get into it because it is a lot to unravel today, and hopefully you guys stick around for the whole video and you guys get the information that you need. Everything I talk about is going to be linked in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Gucci like to bang, Gucci like to come down, he go hard in the pain. Gucci like to swag.
Let's get after it. So first, we're gonna talk about what apartment hunting tools you need. We're gonna talk about what you wanna look for in an apartment, things to consider, like what areas in Austin. And lastly, we're also gonna talk about what was important to me when I was looking at my apartment at where I live. And then we're gonna talk about what questions you can ask when you're on a tour. Make sure you ask these questions because those, to me, I feel like are the most important questions. And it basically, it's a deciding factor. Like it doesn't, like for me, a deciding factor, for example, I need a washer and dryer, or at least somewhere for me to wash my clothes, because I'm not gonna haul them to a washateria down 5 blocks away. I'm not about to do that. So like stuff like that, and we're really gonna get after a lot of things. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video and let me know what you guys think below. So first, we're gonna talk about apartment hunting tools. So these are the ones that I use when I was looking for apartments. Of course, there are many more out there, but these are just the ones that I use. I use apartments.com, which I feel like everyone uses. There's an app in the App Store that is called Apartment List, which it literally goes through in depth everything. Like it'll go through from what area you're looking in, how far away it is from your job, or like a place you want to be far away from, pets. It goes through literally everything. There's also RentCafe, and my last favorite one is Smart City Apartments, and those are apartment hunters or apartment locators, and they'll ask you, oh, well, what part of Austin do you want to move into? They'll ask you what part, they'll ask your budget, they'll ask if there's anything decided, and they'll literally sift through different apartments for you. And they basically do all the work. They set up the tour, they do everything. The only thing that they ask is that you put their name down as a referral or who referred you when you apply to that apartment if you decide to go through with that apartment. And unfortunately, my rep, there was an issue with my application, and I think my apartment just didn't handle it correctly, so she didn't get the referral she should have. But her name was Madeline Hastings, and if you want her contact info, let me know so my girl can get her coins. So next, we're gonna talk about what things you need to consider when looking for an apartment. So what you wanna consider is the area that you're moving into. What's the crime? What's the average rent? What is the distance from work and school? Like how does that area fit you? Like, do you want to live in North Austin, South Austin, East Side, West Side? Do you want to be in the hills? Do you want to be close to Pflugerville? All of that matters because where you move, the rent is completely different anywhere that you go. Next, you should definitely consider if there's a washer and dryer unit. I learned a lot of these apartments come with either connections or they don't come with anything at all. So like you have to go to an off-site or on-site washateria, and that can be a deciding factor. Luckily for me, in my apartments, it comes with connections, so I brought my own washer and dryer. Plus, they have a washer and dryer, like, I guess a facility in the complex. And I literally live, like, right next to it. So for the first week before my washer and dryer came, I literally went there. And it was safe, it was clean, like, you know, you had to swipe your thing to get in and out. So it wasn't something that made me feel nervous, but that is a deciding factor because think about it. If you don't want to rent a washer and dryer for like, what, $30 a month, then where are you going to get a washer and dryer from? You want one that's already in the unit. So that's a big thing to remember. Next, you need to know are there any hidden fees? Is there something that I'm paying for that isn't directly like made visible in my rent? Like for me, I have an amenity fee. That's $5 every month, but it doesn't show up in my rent, but it's in there. So you have to make sure that like everything you're paying for is what you want to pay for. If you don't want to pay an amenity fee, then you probably shouldn't live in that area. And then also, is there a pharmacy? Is there a grocery store? How far away from you from the gas station? Think of those things in that area because for me, I literally have a CVS and a Walgreens down the street. HEB is like 5 minutes from me. You want to make sure that you know where you're moving so that if, say, your car breaks down or you need to do something or something, you have to Uber or like something happens, you want to be close to everything so that you're not just spending substantial amounts of money. Next, how is your, what's your complex vibe? Like, what vibe do you get when you're in the complex? Is it kids running around everywhere and this is a family complex? Some people like that. I personally don't. Like mine, The front of my complex is more family oriented because they have the garages, but the back is more of like the young, the single, because like there's not many garages. There's garages back here, but it's not as many as it is in the front and on the perimeter. So like mine's a big mixture, but I like where I'm located because I'm not around a bunch of kids all the time. Like there's these two boys that live I guess like the next building over, and they play every morning and I hear them every morning, but like they're literally the only kids that I ever see. And so it doesn't bother me to an extent, but if you go to the front, it's kids galore, and I'm not trying to hear wow, 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 like I'm not trying to hear that all morning, every morning. I gotta work, I got things to do. I'm not trying to deal with that. So that is another thing to consider. And you should also, lastly, you need to consider your extra costs a month. Your water, your electricity, your internet, your cable. If you have memberships, if you have to make sure you put that into account, because your base rent might be $900, but if your water and electricity is included in your rent, that's not $900 for you. You're paying probably gonna be paying at least $1,000. Because my first electricity bill, and wait for it, it was $115, and I have never, ever seen something like that before. But when I was living in student housing, you got roommates, I forgot, we're paying like $50 a person. So like, it was dang near that close, but I didn't think about it because it's split. So when it's split, you just didn't think about it. You just paid it. But when I had to pay that $115 myself, I'm like, okay, no lights ever, candles, no AC. It's cold in the morning, so I'm gonna open my back door because I'm trying to be cheap. Or literally, like, I made decisions to cut costs certain places, or when I leave, I unplug everything. So there's different things you can do to save money in different areas, but you just have to make sure that you remember what you're paying at $900. That's not the only fee that's gonna be included in your rent, because some people do valet trash. Some of them have amenity fees. Sometimes you have to pay for, mailboxes and stuff that's included with your apartment. Like, you just have to really make sure you ask and you know what you're really getting yourself into. One tip of advice that I do have that's really big: always check the specials. Always. Because my admin fee and my application fee waived. I didn't have to pay a dime. But some places don't have any specials. Always ask about the specials, because that's incentive for you to move in. And they were also they gave you a $400 gift card when you moved into my apartments when I was signing at the time. So you giving me, that's a good portion of my rent. So why not? Like, why not move forward with that? So always look for the specials, because honestly, those specials, they will help you for your first month. Because your first month, you are paying so much, because you're basically like having to pay everything up front, and they're having to guess how much water, how much this. You have to pay setup fees, you have to pay the amenity, you have to pay. It is going to hurt. It's going to hurt. So make sure that you have the specials or anything that can help you for that first month and cut costs and save money anywhere that you can. For Austin, and I did the different areas, so we got north, south, east, west, and I did downtown just for fun. But in Austin, a 1-bedroom average rent is $1,500 a month, and for 864 square feet, and that's according to RentCafe. And so in North Austin, where I live, the average rent is from $900 to $1,200, and South is from $1,000 to $1,200. In East Austin, you're looking at $900 to $1,900. West Austin, you're looking at $1,100 to $1,300, and downtown, you're looking at $2,500 to $2,900. So it really just varies where you decide to live. I'm about 15 minutes from Pflugerville, so my rent is a little cheaper. But when I was looking at South Austin, starting rent for me was about $1,060, and that was for probably 600 square footage. And personally, I say do not do anything less than 600, because that is considered an efficiency. And you are trying to just live. You are just trying to survive. That's all you're trying to do, is survive. So if you're not just trying to survive, you're actually trying to live, do a little more than 600, even if it's 606. But do not go less than 600 unless you absolutely have to. But personally, that was just one of the things that I think is a good thing to look out for. Make sure that the square footage matches that price, because I pay $970 and my square footage is almost $860. So I'm paying less for the average size bedroom in Austin, a 1-bedroom, and I'm paying less than the average rent. So think about that. Like, think of the different areas. Even if it's an area, I didn't think I was going to live in North Austin. Like, no, but think of all your options. Think of all your options, because you never know what hidden gem you'll fall into. You never know. So when I was apartment hunting, the things that were most important to me were washer and dryer and unit. It was, how is maintenance? Does maintenance take weeks to answer? Do they take a few days? How are they responsible? It was kind of like management was a big thing for me as well. And is there a balcony and parking? Because a lot of apartments now are starting to track parking. And you know, when my family comes, I don't want to have to deal with, oh, you need to register your car because if you don't, it's going to get towed. I don't want to have to deal with that because I have old parents. I'm not trying to do that and make sure that I register their car every day. I'm going to forget. And if their car gets towed, I got to pay for it. Why? Because it's my fault. My parents are going to make me pay for it. So I like where there's no tracking of anything. Or like if my friends, like one of my friends, they came and stayed with me for like the week. I can only have someone, technically, I guess by Texas law, you can only have someone stay, I think it's 4 consecutive days and 7 non-consecutive days. So if that's the case, if they stay more than 4, their name has to be put on the lease and you can get fined for that. Make sure you check that with parking because they will try not to tell you, or if they only have visitor, they'll run over that and you won't know. Make sure you check that because you don't want to have like your boo thing or your boyfriend, whatever, come stay with you and then now he got to be on the lease and now y'all moving too fast. And it wasn't even supposed to be all that, but that's something else for another day. We're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk. So just make sure you be mindful. And when you live in Austin, San Marcos, this area, Central Texas, there is something called cricket season. Cricket season. They literally fall from the sky. They fall. They just literally like rockets, missiles, asteroids. I don't know. I don't care. But they're literally, it's vicious, it's gross. You don't want to deal with that on the first floor. And sometimes things flood. You don't want to get flooded. I don't know. You just want to be mindful when you're living on the first floor. So now, what do you ask when you are at an apartment complex and you've just toured? And they're telling you all these great things about the apartment. They're telling you all this great stuff. Cut the crap. We need to get to the nitty gritty. I want to know about this apartment. I want to know the real. What's the crime rate? What really goes on in this complex at night? Is there security there? So the questions that I think are important to ask, personally, these are the questions that I think were most important. What fees are included in the rent? Is there electricity through the city of Austin or the complex? And will I need to register with Texas Gas? Will I need gas? What internet and cable services are in this area? Do I need renter's insurance? How is maintenance? And is security on the premises? And lastly, how is parking? And you always want to know these things, I personally feel like, because it kind of tells you the general consensus of the apartment. And if you want to ask any more like deeper questions, do that. But I think that is a good skeleton to start off with if you just don't know what to ask. Some places will have a rent cutoff and that can help you out as well. That is all for this video. I know it was a lot, but everything I talked about is going to be in the description below. I'm going to link everything so you will be fine. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it wasn't overwhelming. If it was, ask me a question in the comments. Ask me anything. Literally, I'm an open book and I will help you with whatever you need. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying I'm the apartment guru, but I mean, I've done it. And if I can help you out, I want to. So don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, bye.
Gucci like to swag.